Hello. I had a thought. What if I start all these podcasts with just me going, hello? I might, because, I end them and I say, bye now. And maybe I'll say, hello. I don't know. We'll see if that catches on. It removes the opportunity for me to start the podcast with a hook. And if there's one thing I learned from posting on TikTok every day for almost 390 days, maybe it's over that. I can tell you by looking at my spreadsheet. I have posted on TikTok for 394 consecutive days. And if there's one thing that I've learned from that, it is how important hooks are. That was actually the first lesson that I had, which made me jump in followers and video views. Is you really want to put thought into what you start your video with, any piece of content. You want to put so much thought into that. It's so crucial. You could have the best 75% of a video. And if the first 25% doesn't capture people's attention, let's shave it down. You could have the greatest 98% of a video. And if the first 2% isn't good enough, people won't stick around to see it. The hook matters. That was the thing that I learned. So I don't know. Starting the podcast off with hello. It's funny for some episodes, and maybe I'll do it, but I don't know if it's really the best hook. Probably won't. This episode is about how I keep these things, how I am so consistent. That's what it's about. It's how I'm so consistent. Let me have a sip of this coffee. It's 9:00 in the evening here in Wrocław, Poland, 9 p.m. My throat's a little bit tingly and I'm a bit tired because I've had another crazy day. Really, like what I have done coming to this country with no plans except my friend just wanted to come here. And he's like, yeah, we're going to go and find apartments. And he's like, I've done it before in Warsaw. He's really fast. And it was not fast like we expected. We were living in a hotel for oh my God, for a week and a half. Nothing was working out like we planned. And so I got here 2.5 weeks ago now. It's late. It's 9 p.m. and I haven't had any coffee today. So I have to my left a hot cup of Americano with a slice of lemon. And that's my 9 p.m. drink. Normally, I don't drink coffees in the evening. Normally, I don't do that. All right, let me just jump right to it. I do a weekly strategy call with my friend Jason Levin. He has this Instagram called subway.reader where he reads on the New York City subways he reads books with funny titles. I was with him when he started that account. He's like, should I rebrand my personal account to this? What should we call it? We came up with a name together. I've said, you should absolutely do this. We were together sitting in the meatpacking district in New York City in Manhattan when he started that account, subway.reader. And he has a large newsletter. He has a weekly call, really good guy, smart guy. He has a weekly call just strategizing about marketing and growth hacking, things that he's learned, things that I've learned, things that friends or subscribers of his have learned. And that's a call every Wednesday. And so he asked me on the call, he said, Edward, you've done your TikToks for 394 consecutive days. You've done this podcast for 147 days. How are you so consistent? How do you do it? Because it really is crazy. He said it to me, and I say it on the podcast. People think that I'm crazy when I tell them that I do this. He's like, it's crazy that you do this. And how do you do this? He wanted to know, how do I do it? How do I stay so consistent? And it's a very simple answer. I'm not going to say discipline, willpower. I'm not going to say those things. Those answers are cop-outs. I'm not going to say that. It's actually a mental thing. I say to myself at the beginning of each day, the most important thing I have to do today, the most important, takes priority over everything else. The most important is that I make a TikTok. And again, if you're a listener of the show, you know that it's not just a TikTok, because that TikTok comes out on every platform simultaneously without the TikTok watermark. I should call it a video. I call it a TikTok because it's a TikTok format, short form mobile video, but that doesn't sound as catchy as make a TikTok. I use an automation called reusevideo.com, makes it come out everywhere without the TikTok watermark, saves it to Google Drive as well. And I say the most important thing that I'm going to do today is I make a TikTok and I make a daily podcast. And when you have something that you are trying to achieve and you prioritize working on that over everything else in your life, you always find a way to get it done. Always, always. On the day that I flew here with my friend, that day was just 2.5 weeks ago. I had been living back in New York, where I'm from, for 6 months. I hadn't packed leading up to that day. And I needed to pack, get ready to go, get on a flight. But I also had to make the TikTok and the podcast. And I woke up promptly at 6 a.m. I wanted to get more sleep. Woke up at 6 a.m. because I hadn't been sleeping that much because I had a friend visiting, same friend who's here with me in Poland. And he was visiting in New York and he wanted to see New York. We were going doing stuff in New York. Woke up at 6, got up early just so I could do it. Did it first thing in the morning. You can go listen to that episode. The date that I flew here was November 12th, 2023. So if you want to go listen to that, you can listen to the one that I recorded in New York. And then on November 13th, 2023, I recorded another one. That one was rough. We got into this city at 10 a.m., into Wrocław, Poland at 10 a.m., checked into the hotel. Lufthansa, which gave us a really nice flight. We had great flights on Lufthansa, both of us, incredible red-eye flights. But our luggage was left in Munich, which is where our layover was. So we would have had to, we had to go back to the airport later in the day to get our luggage. We didn't trust them to deliver it to the hotel. So we get in at 10, we go to the hotel, we have to get SIM cards so that we can use our phones. We're not going to be using Verizon here if we're staying for a while. So we go get SIM cards. Both of us haven't slept because it was a red-eye flight or very little sleep. Getting adjusted to this new city. My mic, this mic that I'm recording on now, is packed deep in my luggage. And we're at a cafe where the Wi-Fi is barely working. And we have to leave in an hour, maybe an hour and a half, to go back to the airport to get our luggage, which has the mic in it. And I recorded that podcast using just my normal headphones. And I applied Descript Studio Sound to it to make it sound a little bit better. And I recorded in the cafe. It's a 5-minute thing. You can listen to that. It's November 13th. It's the episode from November 13th, 2023. And I record that in the cafe. The other thing, so there's two things. I say it's the most important thing that I can do, it's the most important thing that I'm going to do every day is make this podcast and make a video. And then the other thing is I make myself okay with putting out something that is mediocre or even sometimes bad. And the reason for this is because I know that if I'm putting out stuff every single day, a podcast every single day, a TikTok every single day, I know that the bad stuff will get better over time. The baseline of quality is going to improve. The only way it won't improve is if you're an absolute idiot and you are just so oblivious to the concept of iterating and improvement. And I think as humans, we have improvement built into us. We want to create automations for the things that we do to save time. We want to make the quality better. I mean, look at society. Some people might disagree. I think society is on an upwards trajectory. I think technology is on an upwards trajectory. We want to make better and cooler and stronger and more powerful, just higher quality things. That's what we as humans do. And I know that if I am putting out content every day, it's going to improve. And so I make myself okay with putting out something that's not that great on one day, because I know that by keeping up that consistency and that habit, over time, the baseline will improve dramatically. And the other thing is I know the consequences of, a lot of people don't know the consequences of what happens when you miss a day. That's the third thing. So I said there was one thing. And then I said there were two things. And now I'm saying there's three things. A recap so far is the first thing is this is the most important thing that I'm going to do today. That's making the podcast and making the TikTok. This is the most important thing that I'm going to do today. That's number one. Number two, I am okay with sometimes putting out content that's not very good. I apologize to my listeners. I apologize to my viewers when that happens. That's what happens when you make something every day. Sometimes it's not very good, but the baseline improves. And then number three is I know the consequences of what happens if I miss a single day. If you miss a single day, here's what happens. Maybe you go for a year straight and then you miss a day. And then you go for a month straight and then you miss another day. And then you go for a week straight and then you miss another day. And then you go for 5 days straight and then you miss 2 days. And then you go for another 2 days. And then you just decide to make it every other day. People do not realize the extent. Maybe that's what my TikTok will be about today. People don't realize the extent to which missing days of consistency is a slippery slope. It happens with content. It happens with the gym. It happens with meditation. It happens with all sorts of habits that people try to develop. If you pick a habit, that has to be your top priority. And you, at the end of the day, you need to have priorities. You need to even things that are so critical, because there's other things that I do every day. I do daily stretching. I do daily meditation. I do daily Wim Hof breathing. I do daily language practice. I like learning new languages. I'll tell you what, over the last 2.5 weeks, I've missed some days on meditation. I've missed some days on exercise. I've missed some days on stretching. I do daily stretching. Missed some days on the Wim Hof breathing, on the meditation. But I haven't missed any days of the podcast or the TikTok because I said that is the number one thing that I'm going to do every day. And that's how I do it. That's how I do it. I know the consequences. I know about priority setting. And I make myself all right with putting out content that occasionally is mediocre. Because over time, everything improves. And actually, I think this episode is pretty good. And it's a very chill episode because my throat is sore. It's late. But my baseline for quality has gone up over time. This is episode 147 of The Edward Show. I always like seeing how long the raw recording is because you as the listener get to see what I'm able to cut it down to. And so this raw recording so far is 16 minutes and 19 seconds. It will probably end around 16 minutes and 40 seconds. That'll be the raw recording. How long will the finished product be? We will find out. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to all of you again tomorrow. Bye now.